This is video number 1 for muscular system, and it's a brief introduction of the 3 types of muscles. In your binder, there's a note-taking sheet with pictures of 3 kinds of muscle diagrams. I recommend you take notes, otherwise you can just review from the video if you prefer. You might want to pause the video and get your note-taking sheet. Briefly, what muscles do are movement, posture, protection, and heat production. That's basically the function of the muscular system. This is not on your note-taking sheet. Now we're going to get into the 3 types of muscles and their characteristics. Muscle cells are very different than the other cells you've studied. They're long, they're parallel, they're odd-shaped compared to other cells, because what a muscle basically does is shorten. The whole thing shortens. Okay, there are 3 types of muscles. Muscle cells: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. We're going to do them in that order. Skeletal muscles. Basically, these are the ones you're most familiar with. They're going to move the body and also produce heat. Here's where you want to start taking some notes on the characteristics of skeletal muscle. This is emphasized on the final. Skeletal muscle cells are long and cylindrical. They're multinucleated, they're striated, and they run parallel to each other. You may want to pause and get these down if you are taking notes. There's one more thing about skeletal muscle, and it's called voluntary. That is, a nerve triggers the muscle, but this is under your conscious control. You decide whether you're going to lift your arm, raise your leg, etc. So that is another characteristic. Where found? Here there's only one where found for muscle cells, skeletal muscle cells, and they're attached to bones. Here's a diagram on the left and an actual microscopic picture on the right. The lines you see are called the striations, or you might think of that in everyday language as striped. The blue dots are the nuclei. So you can see there's several nuclei in each cylinder. Each cylinder is a muscle cell. Smooth muscle is our second type. What smooth muscle does is it moves things through hollow organs or structures. And in our symbol, we have a hollow structure. Think of blood. Blood flows through a hollow structure, veins and arteries and blood vessels. Your food, the digestive system involves moving food in different stages of digestion through hollow parts. Here's where you'll want to write down some characteristics. The cells, the smooth muscle cells, are short and they're cylindrical. They are spindle-shaped. What that means is they are pointed at the ends. We'll see that in a diagram. They only have one nuclei, so we say they're single nucleated rather. They're non-striated. That means they are not striped, but they do lie parallel to one another. You can pause and jot these down if you need to. One more characteristic. Smooth muscle is called involuntary. You don't decide with the conscious part of your brain to trigger this muscle. For example, you don't think about moving blood through your blood vessels. You don't think about constricting your blood vessels and make that happen when you're cold. But you're a part of your brain that seems automatic, so to speak, triggers these kinds of muscles. Finally, where found? It would be around hollow structures. Pure and simple, just put around hollow structures. You might want to write examples. Blood vessels and intestines are the classic examples. If you take a look at the diagram on the left and the actual microscopic picture, you see that they are cylindrical. See how there's only one bluish-purple nucleus in each cylindrical cell, and they're spindle-shaped, that is pointed on the ends. They do lie parallel. There are no striations or stripes. You will need to recognize these characteristics on the final exam. Our last type of muscle is cardiac. And this is the most obvious and straightforward. This is what moves blood through blood vessels. Um, these cells are kind of a combination of skeletal and smooth. They're short, they're cylindrical, but they're branched. Cardiac muscle cells have only one nucleus. They are striated. They do lie parallel, and they contain an odd structure called intercalated. Intercalated, I know it looks like intercalated, but it's pronounced intercalated discs. You can think of these as some cell-to-cell connections that contribute to the branching. Pause and get these down if you need to. Finally, cardiac muscle is involuntary. Oh, that's so obvious. You don't decide to make your heart beat or your heart beat faster or slower. So your actual heartbeat, which is the heart is a muscle, it is not under conscious control. Your brain can regulate it. It has a very different characteristic. We'll study in the heart unit. It's self-excitable through the pacemaker, which starts some of the triggers some of the contractions in the heart. Where found is very obvious, only in the heart, hence the term cardiac. If you look at the diagram, you see that we have short cylinders. They are parallel, however, they have some branching. There's only one nucleus in each muscle cell. It is hard to distinguish one muscle cell from another because of the branching. Let me speak briefly about why heart muscle is branched. Your heart is a pump. When we study the heart, we're going to go through over and over the sole reason that your heart would be healthy, its efficiency, lies in it has to move blood. It has to basically be a blood pumping mechanism. For the heart to be a good pump, lots and lots of heart muscle cells need to shorten or contract at the same time. The branching and the intercalated discs allow heart muscle to work more as a unit. An analogy, a picture image. Picture a team that rows, R-O-W-S, rows. They have to use the oars. They row in unison, otherwise they don't move as fast and efficiently.